What's up, guys, and welcome to this episode of Can We Conversate? So, in this week's episode, we're going to continue our Black History series. I'm talking about important people, talking about people we found important that are not necessarily mainstream, um, people that they like to discuss. So, Talia, say hello to the people.
Hello, LA.
Okay. So let's get into this episode, guys. So this week we're going to be talking about Shirley Chisholm. So Shirley Chisholm was born in Brooklyn, New York, on November 30th, 1924. She came from very humble beginnings. Both of her parents were from the islands. Her mom was from Barbados, and I think her dad was from, I'm not sure. I don't want to make it up because I can't remember. But they struggled economically like a lot of African Americans and a lot of people, period, in the 1920s. She spent part of her childhood in Barbados with her grandmother, which was her mom's mom. Once she started high school, she attended this very prestigious high school in New York City. After graduating from high school, she attended Brooklyn College. While she was at Brooklyn College, she joined Delta Sigma Theta sorority. She received awards for debating, and she also joined the Harriet Tubman Society. While she was at Brooklyn College, she advocated for an African American Studies class to be added to the curriculum, and she advocated for more women student leaders in student government. Once she graduated from Brooklyn College in 1946, she attended Columbia University's Teachers College, and she earned her master's in elementary studies. In 1964, she decided that she wanted to run for the New York State Assembly, and she won. She served in that capacity from 1965 to 1968. Two of her major accomplishments while serving in the Assembly was granting domestic workers unemployment benefits and a program that gave underprivileged students the opportunity to attend college while they were taking remedial education classes. So in 1968, she decided that she wanted to run for New York's 12th congressional district seat. And by doing so, she ran for it and she won, making her the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, which I didn't know, which I'm surprised I didn't know. I don't know why I didn't know that, but that was something that I found that was interesting. So she served in Congress from 1969 to 1983. While in Congress, she served on several different committees. She served on the Veteran Affairs Committee, the House Agricultural Committee, and the Education and Labor Committee. And she also later on joined the Rules Committee, making her the first Black woman to serve in that capacity. So in 1972, she launched her bid for president, making her the first Black person to seek the presidential nomination from one of the two major parties. So Leah, that's when you started doing your research. So what did you find out when you started researching about her presidential bid?
The Democrat National Convention was in July of 1972. It was in Miami. Just a month before, burglars broke in to the Democrat headquarters. One of her slogans that she always said was "unbothered, unbossed." Chisholm knew that she wouldn't win the election, but she wanted to influence people and her delegates that not only that women's rights, that she wanted to fight for women's rights, Black American rights, and indigenous people's rights. All of her opponents were white men, but one stood out, George Wallace of the great state of Alabama. So one of his slogans was segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. It was incredible that a Black woman and a man who had been the face of Southern segregation competed in the same primary. On her campaign, everything Chisholm said rejected everything that he stood for. Mm-hmm. She didn't point him out, but she did give a lot of side eyes. Girl, the shade. In July, Chisholm arrived at the Democrat convention with 152 delegates that put her in fourth place. Even though she didn't win, she knew that her campaign could change the minds of people, that not only white men can run for president. She knew not only was she a woman running for president at this time, but she was a colored woman running for president in this time.
Yeah. So in 1971, she became one of the founding members of the Congressional Black Caucus and the National Women's, the Women's Political Caucus. Her efforts to broaden the food stamp program and to establish a special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children among her lasting contributions as a congresswoman. But her most important piece of legislation was the 1974 minimum wage law that passed Congress. That bill expanded minimum wage standards to apply to domestic workers and as well as to more state and local government employees. In 1984, she co-founded the National Congress for Black Women, and in 1990, she co-founded African American Women for Reproductive Rights. Sadly, Ms. Chisholm passed away on January 1st of 2005. So kind of looking at what we've discussed here, Talia, and some of the research that you did or that we both kind of did together, what was something that kind of stood out to you that you found interesting when we were doing our studies on Ms. Chisholm?
So when I talked about George Wallace, I almost said Jordan, but George Wallace, for some reason when I was researching up, he had some unknown reason that he really liked her. And she couldn't figure out why, nobody else could figure out why he liked her. But he went to Florida and he said, do not vote these over lizards, vote Shirley Chisholm. And that basically plummeted her votes in Florida, so she did not win in Florida. But he a couple months later, before the convention, 2 months before the convention, he almost died with a failed assassination attack.
Assassination attack?
Yes, they shot him 5 times, and I put him in 6th place. He was 2 places behind her. In the race.
So why do you think her numbers in Florida plummeted after he said to vote for her? What do you think?
I really don't know, because Florida,
maybe it was reverse psychology, where it was, if he said to vote for her, people would be like, so George Wallace supports her? Well, maybe something's wrong with her if he supports her, so maybe I'm not going to support her.
Probably.
Maybe. That's interesting. So what else you found? I'm sorry, I just threw that in there and threw that at you. What?
And I thought it was interesting that she knew not only was she a woman running for president, because at this time, they were, women were, like, treated as, before even this time, women were, like, treated not like men, because men were better than women. And
who said that? People said that?
People said that at the time, that men were better than women because they were stronger, they could do all the other stuff, like they could work. And women didn't really have that much of a paying job. Normally, at this time, they were stay-at-home moms, and they really didn't go out into a workplace and work. And so she knew that not only was she a woman, but she was a colored woman running for president, that she probably wouldn't get as many votes, but she would influence people.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part about it too, is that she knew like you said, she knew she wasn't going to win, but she knew that if she got enough delegates, and with her being in 4th place and having 152 delegates, she could push the agenda of the Democratic platform. And part of the thing, like you said, that she worked towards, and that was important to her on her platform, was gender rights and rights for African Americans. And I also found interesting in my studies was that during that time she was really big on reproductive rights, especially when it comes to like abortions. Even though that wasn't a hot button topic during the time that she was in Congress, when she ran for president, those were things, and while she was in Congress, those were things that were important to her. Something like that I found interesting was, like I said, that I knew she ran for president, being the first African American woman to do that, but I never knew that she was the first African American woman to Congress. And I'm wondering why I didn't know that. It just really never dawned on me. But something else that I noticed while doing this research was that she really was strategic, and when she came up with her policies and things that she fought for, she was very strategic in making sure that domestic workers always had resources. Because when she was in the state assembly of New York, she worked to get domestic workers unemployment benefits. And then in the 1974 Minimum Wage Act, she worked for domestic workers to have higher minimum wage. And I think a lot of that had to do with her parents being immigrants. And maybe her mom in particular had to do domestic work, which was considered like, maids, nannies, cleaning up, people's houses and taking care of, other people's children. So I found that in every step that she went, in every position of power that she had, she was always looking out for the little person, for the domestic person, the person that some people may look like that they're on the bottom of the totem pole. They always seem to be someone that she looked out for. So I'm happy that we chose to do Shirley Chisholm, because I learned a lot about her, and how even when she decided not to run for Congress anymore because her second husband was in a car accident and was injured really badly, so she needed to go home, to take care of her husband, she still was sought after, and she still was doing things trying to help people. When she established the National Congress for Black Women. She wasn't in Congress then when she co-founded that. And in 1990, she wasn't in Congress when she co-founded the African American Women for Reproductive Freedom. And even when President Clinton became president, he wanted her to be ambassador to Jamaica, but she couldn't do it because at the time her health was failing and she was sick. So she wasn't able to, fill that role in that capacity for, the way that she needed to. So she turned that role down. But all the way up until her death, she was constantly still working, trying to leave this world and this country in a better situation than it was when she found it. So was there anything else that you found interesting about Miss Chisholm while you was doing your research?
No, I didn't find anything else that was interesting in my stuff, but I did find something interesting in your stuff about the Harriet Tubman program. What was that really about?
So I didn't research the Harriet Tubman Society. So I don't have those facts for you right now. But I will provide the people with the information. I do a short YouTube video or something. I put something on the website or on our social media explaining what the Harriet Tubman Society was. So do you have anything else?
No.
All right, guys. So that's it for this week's episode of Can We Conversate? I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Like always, hit us up on social media. You can hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Fanbase. We also have a YouTube page now, so you can hit us up there. I'm trying to put more content on the Facebook page, and also you can hit us up on our website. The link will be in our bio on Instagram and on TikTok. So until next time, can we conversate?
Bye. I hope you have a great week.